Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to the Frontline show on Intellectual Radio. I'm your host, Tyrone Muhammad, with Michael Creighton. We have an exciting show for you today, and I'm pleased to introduce Miss Anna Rose. How you doing, Anna Rose?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And
Yeah.
so Anna, I'm gonna allow you to explain to the people. This is Intellectual Radio, and this is our show is the Frontline show, and we pride ourselves on bringing frontline issues to the forefront. so,
Sure.
so
Thank
with
you for
that
doing
being
that.
said, go ahead. Feel free to introduce yourself, and if you want to talk a little about how we came to meet, then that's okay as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in the theater and film community in Chicago. I'm part of the LGBTQIA community, and I am a big proponent of what they're calling cannabis. It used to be called weed, but cannabis, I guess, is their correct term now. And my social equity group applied for a license, and expecting to have an actual chance. It was my wife, myself, and three other awesome Black women from the South Side. We did all we could. We put all of our savings into making this shit happen. Am I allowed to curse online? Okay. Because there's gonna be a lot of that. Because I'm very angry about what is going on.
Yeah.
And they came out letting 21 groups get into the lottery, and it was not cool. I got with another group and we kind of protested, and they decided to push back, and now basically everything is just pushed back, and who knows what's going on. And I found you, and I really found your group because I have really been wanting to protest in front of Cresco and Sunnyside and any dispensary really. And I heard you were doing it last Wednesday. I heard like an hour after you were there through a connection on Instagram.
Yes.
And I found your
power
group.
of social media, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you, social media. So I saw your group, and then I saw that you were running the group, and so I was like, let me just contact directly. And then you were so kind and got back to me right away. I sent you a little like demo of a documentary that I'm working on about the subject. And
so talk right.
It's not even a week, and we're right here together.
Right. So that's what happened when actions become real. So I appreciate you reaching out, because all the time you recognize a situation and an issue, and you feel like you're alone in that. Right. It's not that you're alone. It's just that those parties and persons haven't made that connection to take it to the next level. It's like any social issues we're fighting for. If you don't bring it to the forefront and make the people aware that that's an issue, they sit back and they're uninformed oftentimes.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't care, but we haven't done enough to bring light to the subject.
Well, and the state has not done enough for transparency.
Yes, ma'am.
That's one of my major issues is where is the transparency? Because if there was transparency, then we would be seeing all of the corruption in the forefront. Now we know there's corruption. We're just having to dig for it. And I really, I love your energy. I could already tell that you were a doer, because I am fucking sick of people that talk the talk and don't walk the walk. They bitch and moan and complain on social media most of the time.
Be there when you stand up. Like tomorrow, we have I like to call it demonstration.
Yeah, I like that too.
Because every time they have given, the powers that be have given the term protest a bad connotation, like we're bagging or something. No, we're demanding what's ours.
Right.
We're
and it's demonstrating to
rioting
now too.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, to rioting.
Yeah.
So protesters there, so the media set the narrative whereby protesting become almost like thuggery and thugs that's out in the community just making noise. When in fact, there are issues, social equity being one, inclusion being another one, and however that looks. So, explain a little bit to me about your process of filing for a license. And this is an interesting thing, right? You got a black man, you got a white woman,
Yeah,
and
thanks for
we
having
all
me.
asking for the same thing.
Right.
Although we've had discussion, Anna and I, about those parties that should have had the first opportunity, and also myself also being formerly incarcerated and and arrested on a number of occasions for selling weed. Now white men are made legal drug dealers. Why you locked us up and locked us out of the industry? So please give the people, the public, an understanding about the course of action you and your girls took to get to the table with the what is it, the application process, only to be denied. And what
Right.
is it, 70? What is it, 17? How
So,
many licenses total?
so they're giving 75
So all
in the
white men,
state.
all white men.
Yes, throughout the state. They're giving out 75. Like, it's so freaking complicated and goes back like months and months too. And that's maybe some where my frustration comes, because it's like, where do I begin?
How do you get your voice heard and exercise,
Right.
the power?
And I do want to say, our group has not given up hope, because they did not end up giving the 75 licenses to the 21 groups that got perfect scores.
Hold on. 21 groups
out of
75.
900.
Not one. So that means that they all got 2 or 3 or 4 licenses.
They would potentially get multiple licenses depending on how many
so
licenses
each license
they
allow you
applied
to
for.
open up the different locations.
Yes.
So I couldn't have a license and then open up multiple locations without having. I couldn't open up 10 locations without 10 licenses.
Nope. Yeah, you need 10 licenses, and you had to pay the state 10 times to be able to be qualified. So to apply, if you were social equity, and I'm saying social equity in quotations because it's based on what the state says, and of course they put loopholes in there. You could pay $2,500 for each license. So there are groups in that 21 groups that I think they actually didn't have a number that you could exceed. So I think there was a few groups that applied like 21 times. So they could receive 21 licenses, and then maybe one of the other groups could not receive any license based on the lottery.
Safe to say most of these groups that apply for 21 licenses
are corporations. Yes. Or they have some kind of...
The fact that they're even allowed.
Right. It's ridiculous.
The audacity to say, hey, I'm going to file for 21 license, and really I expect to get it.
Right. And one of the things in the rules is to be social equity, you have to be in a certain location in Chicago based on like their standards, based on like income bracket that they have, based on census stuff. And so it's really funny. My wife and I currently live in a social equity location, but we are not social equity. We've been in that location for 2 years, almost 2.5 years. There's been like 3 or 4 people that have gotten shot by guns like across the street from where we live. It's a true social equity location. We lived down the street from where we currently live for 4 years before that. But living down the street, we weren't social equity. It was like on the other side of Broadway is not social equity, and that other side is social equity. So and you had to have been in a social equity location for 5 years. So we were living down the street for 4 years, but then we moved to another location that actually was social equity for 2 years. But because we were just down the street, we didn't qualify.
Wow.
But
the loopholes and technicalities of the state.
Right. And then I think the most fucked up loophole is you don't actually have to have anyone that owns the business that is a true social equity person. You just have to hire people that are true social equity.
So you hire people. They don't even have to be the front
No, they don't own
Just hire.
anything. Yeah, and you had to have hired them like a month before you apply and have them on payroll. So no one but a corporation that already has a business can even do that. And some people were calling that the slave clause in the application, which is a very great way of describing it.
Do you have a copy of that application?
I do, and it's like 400 pages long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? They make the process that difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do things like they had a few different like meetings throughout the state that was supposed to be helping the people apply, so I attended one of them. It was a fucking bullshit thing. Wow. It was like, are you kidding me? Because I did my homework. I read up on the laws, and that was like a 400-page thing. I didn't read the whole thing, but I basically knew the logistics, and we had hired lawyers because we wanted to do our due diligence and actually win a license. So I knew the basic thing that was going on, and so the meeting was just minimal information that you would need. There was and I think it was a way of corporations or like rich people to find social equity people to put on their application. That's what I think it was.
Oh yeah. I mean, the licenses as they stand, even the ones that's been given out, I believe should be removed and taken anyway and started over. Because the process is a crap. And that's the thing about showing up these giants. You say, why pick Cresco? Because they are, although Cresco I don't think is the biggest in the city. I don't think. What's GCI? How big are they?
Yeah, so I believe they might be the same thing.
About the same size?
No, like they might be the same company.
You sure?
I'm not sure.
But let's check. But you know what? They're brothers, they're cousins, they're friends.
Exactly.
They're cronies, they're homies.
Yeah.
They, you know what I'm saying? They're in the same gang.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what we're gonna do is take a quick break, and we want to come back. I want to ask you some more questions around your application, that application process, because that's serious. You're talking 400 pages.
Yeah. And I will tell you anything. I'm a TMI person.
Yeah.
Too much information, I will give it to you.
Thank you. All right, y'all, come on back. You watching Intellectual Radio, listening to Intellectual Radio, Frontline show. Come on back. And the Rose, people.
IntellectualRadio.com. Feed your brain. Feed me now.
listening to the Frontline show powered by ECCSC. We're here today with Anna Rose talking about equity and inclusion of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
We
There
left
isn't
with
any, by the way.
we left with several questions, and then a question or two we would like to ask you. But the process, Earl mentioned the process. What was that like? What is that process? If you can recall, I know you're not maybe can't remember it all, but
yeah, for sure. So there was an application online, and there's basically 14 categories, around 14 categories that you had to discuss, and they basically wanted you to regurgitate the law. So you had to read the like 400, 500 thing, the law, to regurgitate it and like put your own spin on it. So it was things like, what does the security plan look like? You had to have an actual layout of your space and where every single camera would go. And
that's to really keep track of how much cannabis you're moving in a place.
Right. Well, and so that they can track if you're taking stuff out illegally. So, because
but that makes no sense to me because I can just not bring it in.
Right. So that's why there's multiple different licenses. So there's a dispensary license, there is a transportation license, and there is a infusion license, and then there's a grow license. And within the grow license, you can also transfuse. You can also, you can also like make products. So you have to apply for all of those individually. You can't just like get one and do all of that. So for transportation, if you don't have a license to transport from a grow, you're not going to get that product. Not that they have any product in Illinois anyway. They're
so legal but controlled.
Right. They want to know everything that you're doing so that you can't take stuff under the table and I guess sell it elsewhere. Not sure. So, and then I wish I had brought the list because it was just freaking ridiculous. The only thing that was in there that I thought was really important was the plan for the community engagement. That was the one thing I was like, yes.
And when you looked at that,
this needs to be here. And they basically were like, what's your plan? There was no outline. They didn't give any suggestions. So you kind of were like, you get this many pages.
So they didn't give you an outline as to what the community engagement aspect should represent or look like?
No.
You filled in those spaces on your own, or?
So it's not like a fill-in thing. It's like you have to, it's basically like getting your master's or like writing your doctorate. Wow. Not that I've done that.
You had to write a dissertation.
You basically had to write a dissertation.
What you would do for community engagement.
For all 14 things.
But I'm saying in this community engagement piece, because they all talk about that more than anything.
Right.
So all of them had to tell the state what they would do in the community engagement and equity space with their dollars and profits that's made from that.
Yeah.
Or just merely.
I mean, you could really like give as much or as little information as you wanted. So I don't know what other.
But I'm sure that in order to get that perfect score or that grading system, they said some great things.
You would think, but that's the thing. So.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I feel like that all of what she's explaining to me is like they boxing out smaller people to just have, because that stuff, all the legal mumbo jumbo, all that's about getting lawyers, having money, having resources, and all that. Those questions and that 400-page document, that was to overwhelm people.
Exactly.
And that was all the rules. All those questions in there, I don't even think they even matter. They knew that they was boxing people out with that stuff. It's almost like you knew that only a few demographic of people would even be able to entertain these documents, even at that level where you can understand the language of legal. They wanted you to understand. Come on, lawyers do that type of stuff. Understand that language. So I know where you're getting at with the community outreach because you want to hold them accountable for some of the stuff that they said that they would do. But I think that's all BS. I think that part of it, but you can attack that. And I understand where you're going with it.
See, if you talking, and that's what we standing on today. Show me how it's rational and right to build the whole prison system. Because most of the cases in prison are that the recidivism rate are guys who doing petty crime, misdemeanor, drug sale, pitching dope.
Yeah.
And that fills those prisons up. Yeah. Not the violent crimes. Those are not the most, that's not the total population. That's only a percentage of individual. But a lot of people coming in and out of prison are those who sell drugs, use drugs, and the likes. So you built the state of Illinois prisons system from guys selling marijuana, misdemeanor, really, and you make those felonies.
Yeah.
Now here we go.
Yeah, I mean the whole system is fucked up. Fuck corporations, fuck the state. Like I don't know. I'm just fuck all them. I'm with y'all. Like we found out later that KPMG, which is the corporation that does a lot of the work for the city, and KPMG, and let's go protest over there because they're the worst. So they got a non-bid contract for this, and I think they received like $10 million to do this from the state, from cannabis taxation, so which should be going to you and your organization.
Corporation like KPMG,
mm-hmm.
$10 million of the tax dollars that should
to grade these applications. And you know what they did?
So they took the tax dollars.
Yeah.
They didn't make the corporations pay for that. Mm-hmm. They took the people's tax dollars and paid for that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I mean, and what they did, we found out maybe a few months ago when we were digging, they hired a college in Florida. They had like college kids looking at our applications. Wow. So it didn't matter what we wrote. It did not matter. Yeah. As long as we regurgitated the few sentences that were in the law, we would have gotten whatever score.
So even if you regurgitated the few, if I'm grading, if I'm already inherently evil about the process anyway, and I'm grading your paper, I don't have to give you a high mark. I can give you a demerit just because I can.
Yeah, I think they had the 21 companies that they wanted to give licenses to set aside.
So when you say they, Mike, you got something?
The man.
No. I'm listening.
When you say they, are you talking about? See, J.B. Pritzker is the governor, and I'm a firm believer that he ran for governor to pass marijuana laws.
Because he owns part of the companies.
He owned what?
He owns some of the companies.
People, J.B. Pritzker owned marijuana companies.
Yeah.
He's
connected.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what that was. So he probably would care less to be the governor next term because he did what he.
I mean, I think he likes the status.
I think they all do. But that's interesting. No, I mean, when we think about that stuff and the wicked diabolical nature of the whole process, and I'm gonna just tell you. I'm very disappointed in Black elected officials who sat in these rooms at these tables and watched this taking place.
Yeah.
And they didn't shout on top of the.
I think they were lied to.
You think lied?
I think they were lied to.
You think you could trick tricksters?
Huh? I think anyone can be tricked if they're just trying to go eat their dinner.
Well, I think that's just capitulating because you want to eat your dinner.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I don't know. I really.
How you think we feel, right? As Black men.
Terrible.
Our elected officials allow a bill to pass where there was no Black companies and there was no reparations given to. They say 71,000. I say 250,000. They say 71,000 persons who was incarcerated for marijuana possessions to expunge that they recognize. So if you recognize an expungement without a cause to clear up the violation, and the only way you could do that and bring me back to wholeness is now at this point is by giving me some monetary damages.
Yeah.
For what you caused me and my family for locking me up for all these years. And then you give white men carte blanche and first dibs on the very substance, the very illegal activity that you locked me up, now deemed legal, to become legal drug dealers. And we're still marginalized and isolated from the process.
Yeah.
Not to mention women and other minorities, but
Right.
black men in general.
Right.
What do you think about that?
What do I think about that? I mean, I've run a nonprofit theater company for over 10 years. And when you apply for a grant, if there's a lot of people up for that, then you get interviewed. I think that they need to get rid of this, this lottery idea, and they need to interview groups, because they said that it would be discriminatory if they knew, the color of the person's skin or whatever that is applying.
So 75 license of white men.
Well, so technically, I think there were some people of color in the companies. Like, there was one company that actually, there was a woman, I believe a black woman she works for Illinois Normal, which is the cannabis company.
1 0 is all the same.
Yeah.
Whether it be
I know.
2.5, 3.5.
I get that. I hear you. But I mean, we can't say only.
But it's not, at the end of the day.
Basically,
she's not the principal person. We know she a front, and she's not a principal person. She may be a principal, but she's not the CEO owner, that principal owner.
Yeah,
now I can give you 51%, but hey, look, you on record, you 51%, but hey, you may get 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to answer your question. I don't know how to answer your question, but I was thinking, maybe there's some kind of grant thing that the state can do.
Well, they have this R3 program. You familiar with that?
You've been telling me about it, and I know that it exists.
Pull that up.
But how does it work?
That's it. See, what they do is they hire, once again, people from the community that look like me, mainly women. I'm telling you, and I've checked it, and then they hire 1 or 2.
Here it is right here.
Go ahead. Well, Mike, listen up on this. Mike is going to tell you what the R3 program.
The R3 program drives 25% of cannabis tax revenue to fund grants for violence prevention, reentry, youth development, economic development, and civil legal aid services in areas of the state that are objectively found to be acute suffering from the horrors of violence boasted by concentrated disinvestment. Need I say more? I'm gonna let you.
Have you seen any of the grants out there?
No, I've heard of individuals who received it, but these are the same proverbial individuals that play the game. That's a part of the system that has continued to receive funding,
and they have insider information.
And not because they the boys or the girls of these. Legislators.
They help make the rule, and then they take the money.
Well, not they don't make the rules, but they use them as token pieces to prop up and say, "Hey, look, we have an equity person that we give money to that claims to do reentry, prison reform, social justice, violence prevention. This is our guy." Then they fund money through the Heartline alliances and the different groups as fiscal agents. Mm-hmm. And then if you're not aligned with those groups that the money go to, and you're not sitting at the table, then, and if you're not the type of voice that capitulates, then you out of there.
Right.
Unless you create your own space and circle like we're doing now, that we're gonna force you to look at this thing differently and give us the right looks because we're making noise. A lot of people talk about this, but they aren't willing to come forth or even to stand with you to see that equity, inclusion, and opportunities comes to our communities. But yes, the R3 program is a grant program that feed organizations that perform violence prevention, mentorship, prison reform. ECCSC wears ex-con as its moniker. So if we don't get a look,
Yeah, I mean, if there isn't any transparency in how to receive these grants, then they don't exist.
That's true.
we can't monitor, we can't track, the
Yeah.
process.
Everyone should be able to apply.
I'm assuming is a lot.
Well, 30-something million, 39 million, my last count was given out. Now, that was the first round.
Right.
The next round of monies is coming. And now they're determining and picking groups now based on the application process. My work should be my application. See, anyone can put an application in and say they do this and that.
Right.
But that should come by way of the community saying, this group, this theater program saved my life. This group did this. That group did this. We know of the work that this group.
Right.
We will have legislators from state reps to aldermen that know the work that the ECCSC does. But yet they wouldn't even speak up in the circles, those circles to say, hey, this group should receive funding. You got the little brother Charles McKenzie, who the Inglewood first responders. Though it's real grassroots groups that's fighting to build capacity to really serve the community. But really, I think that's what it's about. And it's about not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to not do anything.
And that's,
say you did.
Hey, listen, this is where we at. So listen, y'all. Once again, you're listening to the Frontline show on Intellectual Radio. And if you would like to ask Anna a question, please feel free to call in live right now, 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Come on back. Welcome back to the Frontline show. Listen, they was into it. We all, they heard it on live, but Mike and Anna's going in. So, Mike, what was the question you posed to Anna?
Oh, I was asking Anna, how long did the application process take? How long did that take?
Yeah, and I'm just guesstimating because I have a horrible memory. We were working on our application for at least 8 months. We turned it in like December-ish. We were supposed to hear back May, April-ish. Because of COVID, they just let us know that they weren't going to make any decisions. We were just like, okay, we don't know what's happening for like 3 months. And then we get an email, just a general email that's like, cool, look at find this link and see if you get a license. And so you go to the link, and then on the page there was the 21 companies and how many applications they put in. And if you were not on there, then you were not one of those groups.
I told Anna she never stood a chance. She didn't have a snowball chance in hell. This is how I usually go. Like, just like I'm giving sports analogy, just like like on the basketball team, trials. The team was already established. The trials was just for those poor students who just, had.
He may show us something.
It was a show. It was all just to make it seem like it's fair, but the team was already chosen. The licenses were already given. Yeah. They were already, a lot of that, they already were behind the scenes, divvying out, okay, you get $1 billion come, you get this, you this person, you got this equity. All that was already done. The whole dog and pony show that they gave y'all about the application, all that was just to waste y'all time, waste y'all money.
The process is fair because you don't supposed to know who white and who black. And who
exactly.
I'm gonna tell you who white, because when I see the application that comes called Cresco, I know that's $1 billion white man right there.
Yeah.
If this come across Amazon, I know that's $1 billion company. I know. See, it's like the name itself tell me if you put the name in the name Anna Rose Epstein.
That's a white girl.
That's a
Jewish white girl.
That was my first instinct when I seen your name.
So if you say J.B. Priska, I already know that's a white man. I'm just saying to y'all that, what Mike said, that the fight is fixed.
It was already done.
I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe the state. I wanted to believe they believed in, we did everything. We did everything we could. We had an all-woman group. Like, one of our people was a veteran, which you get extra points if you have a veteran, and she was in the medical industry too. So I was like,
what if you had an ex-con signed up with that?
You actually, if you have an ex-con, then you get the extra 5 points for being social equity.
But see, that's the thing.
But you can be a white ex-con. You can be a white boy that went home to his mama.
That's right.
And have the same 5 points.
That's why I mess with her.
I get you.
She keeps it 100. See, that's my sister.
Oh yeah.
Y'all tripping. Hey, man, I'm telling you, then she gonna be out there tomorrow with us when we're out there 100 deep or more. Letting Cresco know how we feel about it.
Yeah.
Although it's not Cresco who make legislation and policy, Cresco courts all the politicians and the legislators that allow them to benefit from that.
Yeah.
And yet I don't see a true social equity plan in Cresco book. They would say, Anna, we give away money. We the best social equity group.
Oh yeah, they have like block parties. That's how they show their social equity or if
it was fair to me, like we were just saying, it would be 10 minority groups or Black owned or LGBTQ communities. It would be separated. It would be divvied out like that. Like, okay, we're gonna give out 25 licenses for this group of people, 50 or however, but just make it all that was just straight nonsense. They already knew this is a cash cow. They watched it when they happened in Colorado. They got like $1 billion in a month after they legalized marijuana. So they already knew the game. Like you said, J.B. Pritzker got in just to run off that,
Yeah.
get in there. So
Well, the other states are saying, look at Illinois. They're doing a great job at social equity.
yeah,
That's the media.
They're
They
fucking
can say
lying.
anything. Listen, you can say anything. Listen, some people think the sky really blue. But without
The earth is flat.
Or flat. But without proper knowledge of why it's blue and understanding the reflection of the ocean, or without them really knowing, they'll never really have truth. So in the case of us, Mike say this 10 to 10. I say, since you use our bodies and then use the law of expungement,
indeed,
I call it to use deceptive intelligence to rationalize improper behavior and emotions. They did that. They did the intelligence, deceptive intelligence, to say that at changing and fixing and correcting what they broke.
absolutely.
But you can't fix and correct if you don't first repair.
Mhm.
And that's reparations.
Right. It was
And
almost like they wanted to get all of the money that that true people that are working this industry, they wanted all that money. So they were like, oh, let's just make the application fee like not that much, but a lot.
Right.
And like take all of their money. And just
So
be
did
done
y'all
with
get
it.
a refund?
Oh,
Wait.
no.
You mean how many people
A
you think
refund.
filed for applications?
900.
900
900
groups.
groups.
2,500 people.
And
Ponzi scheme.
they applied multiple times. So there was 900
Decent.
groups, but then they had to apply multiple times
And
if they
who
wanted.
multiple licenses,
this?
right?
Yeah.
The state. So
the
the
state received the 2,500 processing fee or application fee.
But it wasn't just the state that got a whole bunch of money out of this.
Who else got it?
Lawyers,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
consultants.
Yep.
Them 5
No,
lawyers
I'm
that
talking
you
about.
had.
I'm only talking about. See, the lawyers they
Cold
are
game.
needed to help play the game. But I'm talking about the state
State
who's
representatives.
accountable to
The people.
See, the
Right.
lawyer's not accountable to anything.
I hate lawyers, by the way.
Listen, we best know that the lawyers that's been incarcerated are not accountable to anything from state's attorney side.
But that
to
money they
defense
want.
side. But as it relates to the state and the city officials, you talking about $2,500 times 900.
Let me do the math on that. Hold on.
You are
Right.
our man.
Let me do the math.
and that.
I-
if that's the
I
I
case,
never did it because I
and
didn't want to
then
get
where
angry.
do that money go?
$2,500 times 900 applications. Lord have mercy.
And it's actually more than that because people applied more than once.
Exactly.
Oh wow!
The
So
900 groups.
tentatively, we have 2,250,000.
And that's one.
That's bare
applicant.
minimum. That's just one application.
So
It's
look
4
at the game.
applications.
Look at the game.
Ponzi
Because
scheme.
if I don't get an application, right,
Mm.
maybe I should pay a processing fee, and then you give me my money back. We'll take $300.
Why would they do that?
process? Oh, you had a processing fee too?
You know what? We actually had a fingerprinting fee for each person. So which was
$125,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
See, whoa, this, and you know how much a few minutes of ink, because they do the computer now. You don't even
Yeah.
have to do the ink
Yeah.
stuff no more. That don't cost number 2 minutes of a person's
No.
time.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So y'all listening to this, this is why she's on the show
It's
tonight,
cold.
just to show y'all. So when y'all see us out there tomorrow, demonstrating in front of Sunnyside, Cresco, and we coming to the other ones, this is the reason why we do it.
Mhm.
Because we're not acting haphazardly. We're not just out of the spare of the moment, off our whim, jumping out here saying, hey, we just go protest because there's no social. No, there's a diabolical plot of this investment that's been going on for 40, 50 years in this city.
Absolutely.
We're just conscious enough now as a people to try to attempt to wake people up and say, hey, look, can you see what's going on? Your elected officials signed off on this.
Right.
A lot of them in the aldermen in the city council, and a lot of them downstate, state rep, congresspersons, state senators. And we have a governor who ran on social equity and inclusion. We have a mayor that ran on social equity and inclusion, what better way to show that you're really about inclusion than to take those same guys that you incarcerated and then say, you know what? First license should go to one of their group.
Right.
And figure out how to get them business ready, get them lawyered up so that process could go through. You at least would attempted to try to play like you wanted. They don't have one group that's been formally incarcerated, but yet they spend their millions on expungement.
Yeah.
This is what Cresco says. They doing a lot of,
Are
they did
they?
over 1,200 expungement. And you know what I tell them? I want to see the number of repair or reparations you also added to the 1,200. That's not happening. That hasn't happened.
Because Anna said something to me when you first came in. You said marijuana is not a drug. According to the state of Illinois, for God knows how many years, they criminalized it, and it was a drug to them. They locked us up. They put us in jail, and you. A lot of times you cripple, even if you expunge the record. Look at the things that you have to do in order to keep the drugs, in order to facilitate the drugs. You have to have guns, and you know once you get locked up, you got that felony in your background. Think about all the lost wages and the lost income that you had to incur from being incarcerated. So it's a lot more to it than just that. This is it's amazing information.
I mean, it's sad to me, and it hurts my heart, my stomach. It makes me. I don't even have no more tears in me. I don't have pain in me. All the pain I have is pain to do what's right. And that's what drives me to do what's right and try in attempting to create real social equity in our communities, because we've been so victimized by a system that continues to perpetually victimize us long after we come home from serving our sentence that they gave us. Yeah. You said that I shall serve X amount of years for this crime, which according to law carries, the statute says this, and that. So if the statute says this, and that, you sentence me to a number of years based on the statute, and one by a jury of my peers, not 11 white people from suburbs, and one Indian. You sentence me to a jury of my peers or judge, and you decree a time duly served. Once you complete that sentence, I wasn't sentenced to a continuation of discriminatory practices after I served my time that you duly administered. So, hey, this is a war against the black male, the black community, and women.
Thank you for adding that.
Because men are removed, are disinvested, and then men tend to be bad guys to women. And I'm saying that really in a comical but a real way, because we are the caretakers of our community and our family, technically. You know, according to this structure, we know women. Because I was a single, my mom was a single parent, and she did just as great as any man could have ever done. But at the end of the day, there's still a patriarchal society, no matter about how we view and see things. If black women and white women don't line up around black disinvestment, then how can we get to all of these other issues?
Before I found your group, I was working with another group that was all black, and the leader was, because I was a white woman joining them, he started saying like progressive women or progressive white women, and I was like, you don't need to say white, just say women. Like it's about being a woman. Like I just happen to be white, and I don't actually like it, so I prefer being the token white woman in the room.
Right? No, really, no. Your actions symbolizes who you are, because I know that you would stand on the front line with ECCSC before people that look like me.
Right.
So I know clearly what you're saying. And this is our fight to get at, because at the end of the day, it's white rich men
Fuck them.
Hit us over the head.
Fuck them. I wanted to say, so you use the word marijuana. That's actually a racist term.
Oh wow! Enlighten me, please.
Yeah,
we
it
wanna know
actually
where that come from.
it comes from when
What is it?
Etymology of the word.
Yeah,
The origin.
So like cannabis is the word that people are using. It's like cannabis is like the plant. I mean, marijuana is the word that they used to use to describe weed because it was predominantly a Mexican American thing. And they wanted, and I'm from Texas originally.
Marijuana.
Yeah. And I'm from Texas originally, so there's a lot of like, weed going in and out of Texas and
I'm gonna do my homework on that.
Mexico.
I'm gonna check you out.
And they were trying to, similar to what they do to Black people, same thing with Mexicans, and they were whenever they found marijuana on a Mexican person, they can lock them up. And I can't remember the other stuff. You're good at Googling. How many minutes we got?
You say you good at Google.
Yeah.
You Google guy?
Yeah, you are.
I'm the Google. That's how you gonna remember me. Google guy.
That I know we'll be a part of.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing the protest tomorrow. Because you were so nice to Cresco when you were there, because if I was there, I would have been like, all you fuckers get out of this line right now and go find weed somewhere else. I don't care if it's any other company besides Cresco, but you need to leave. Like, so my priority tomorrow is going to be like to support y'all and document the process, because I started documenting because media was not giving the truth. Media was not, they were praising Pritzker, and, out of state was praising Illinois. And I was like, fuck you, that's not correct. I need to actually document as this process happens so that history doesn't get rewritten, which happens all the time.
Well, you see people, a girl is on the scene. She's going to be out there with us tomorrow, 11 o'clock. That's 38 for 12 North Clark Street. We'll be out there.
Middle Wrigleyville.
Near Wrigleyville. You're welcome to come on down and be a part of the demonstration. We'll do our best not to get arrested, but they already talking about somewhat of a situation. So we working them details out now.
I'm on parole, so I got to.
Well, don't get arrested just for the documentary.
No, well,
otherwise I'm gonna have to get into the jail somehow.
All right, there you go. So with that being said, people, thank y'all for tuning in. This is the Frontline show, Intellectual Radio. See you tomorrow.
Yes.
Right.